All right. Hello, everyone. It's almost 8:30 on the East Coast here, so I want to get this one started. Artisan is on the West Coast, so you have to reconcile that time difference. So let me make sure I'm broadcasting to YouTube. I know Artisan was gracious enough to share this to his community tab. Okay, I see we are live. I don't have AdSense over here, so there are no ads. So I'm going to share this over to my original channel, which is my main antenna. And then I'm going to come back to play the intro, and then I'll talk for a few minutes. And I think Artisan will come in, and we'll do some geek talk. All right, my computer has a little bit of a hesitation tonight. All right, let me share to my community tab. Oh boy, Officer of the Law is there in the chat. All right, so I just shared that to my community tab on my original channel. I'm going to go back. Officer Faulkner, how you doing? I think you'll enjoy this one. I mean, you're a comic book guy yourself, so yeah, you're gonna enjoy this one. All right, I'm gonna play the intro. Wait a minute, I see something here in the private chat. Oh, hello, Artisan. Yeah, so I'm gonna play my little intro here. I have to update this, and then I'll say a few words. And then I'll bring Artisan up, and we'll have some geek talk. All right.
That's good.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Dr. Anwar Yusuf Dunbar, and this is Big Discussion 76 Entertainment and Media. Well, everyone, tonight I have a guest, so I want to keep this my little introductory chatter short. It's 8:30 on the East Coast. I see Charles is there in the chat. Charles is up late. I'm usually kind of winding down right now, but we got the time zone difference. So whenever someone's on the West Coast, you got to coordinate with them. And Artisan was available after a certain hour, so I said, okay, we're gonna make this work. Saturday, the football game is on. Michigan's playing Iowa, so and Artisan does his show on Sunday, so this is what we got. All right, tonight's stream, I called this one a Geek-Talk stream with Artisan. Why is Hollywood painting mustaches on our beloved franchises? So I try to get a little bit creative there because some would argue that Hollywood, Disney, Marvel, they're painting mustaches on our Mona Lisas. So Mona Lisa. So for those of you who don't know, I like soundtracks, and I have a nice collection of soundtracks in my iTunes library. Sometimes I work out to them. I just downloaded the two Avengers soundtracks this week because I like to listen to classical music when I'm writing. And I realized, for one thing, Alan Silvestri. I know stuff about soundtracks. Alan Silvestri did the soundtrack. He did the soundtrack for the original Predator movie. And if you look throughout Hollywood, he's done a lot of notable soundtracks. But it turns out that he did all the soundtracks for the Avengers movies. And so he's one composer. So another composer is James Horner. James Horner did the soundtrack for Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, and he did the soundtrack for Star Trek III: The Search for Spock. Okay, so one of the things James Horner said in a video, a really nice video about the soundtrack for Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan, was that when movies are done right, you don't remember the movie and the music separately, you remember them together. So when you're listening to the soundtrack, you remember scenes from the movie, you remember lines, you remember the actors. So when they're done right, there's a nice marriage between the actual script, the directing, screenplay, and the soundtrack. And as I was listening to this Avengers Endgame soundtrack, well, here's my DVD. I still have a DVD player back there. As you listen to the Avengers soundtrack, for me, I can still see the scenes. I can still see that first part of the movie where they hunt down Thanos and they realize that he's destroyed all the Infinity Stones. I can still see that scene when I'm listening to the soundtrack of when Tony and Cap go back to New Jersey back in the 1970s. And of course there's the closing montage at the end. But when I think about those first Avengers movies, all the individual movies weren't perfect, but when you think about the overarching story, that was good. It was good. It was well put together, well written. It all just fit together really, really well. They gave us the individual characters. They put the original six together, and then like a cartoon or even a comic book, they added in Black Panther. They added in Ant-Man. They added in Spider-Man. They added in Scarlet Witch. They added in Doctor Strange, and then it just got bigger and bigger and bigger. And then they had to take on the bad guy. It was good. It wasn't perfect, but it was good. And so now, and this is just Marvel. Now that was phases 1 and 2. Uh-oh, the master teacher's here. That was phases 1 and 2. Phases 3 and 4, I don't think any of us know what's going on with phases 3 and 4. The Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man No Way Home, I thought that was quality. You had the 3 Spider-Mans in there, Andrew Garfield, Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland. The ending was very compelling. I saw Eternals. That was kind of forgettable. I saw Doctor Strange. And I haven't been keeping up with all the TV series, but I haven't, across the board, I haven't heard good things about their TV series on Disney Plus. And this latest one, the She-Hulk, that one is really cooking. I mean, that one is really, really cooking in terms of YouTube content creators creating content on why She-Hulk is bad. So I have to admit, my brother has a buddy who downloads this stuff, and that's why I watch it. But after what I've heard about She-Hulk, I'm not sure I want to watch it. But again, this is just Marvel. You know, if you go over to Star Wars, they've arguably painted a mustache on Star Wars. The Rings of Power. I got through the first half of episode 1 of Rings of Power, and I haven't gone back. But from what I've been hearing, I don't really want to go back. And I'm not saying it might be good, but I just haven't been compelled to go back. Right now, I am watching House of the Dragon, and I'm keeping up with that. BGS did recommend get the audio books because I have to admit I didn't read the book for House of the Dragon, but I'm already seeing some. I'm seeing some modern things in House of the Dragon. I mean, with Game of Thrones, it's very mature. I mean, you're going to see stuff in Game of Thrones, but I'm seeing some things in there, and I'm seeing some themes in House of the Dragon, and I'm wondering, did George R. Martin write that? But I thought this would be a fun stream for me and Artisan to talk about. I'll open it up. I don't have a lot of questions for him. I mean, I'm sure we could talk for hours about this stuff, but I thought this would be because when Artisan does his streams on Sundays, for the last month, the thumbnail has been the She-Hulk. So in a way, She-Hulk has kind of become Artisan's mascot. So I thought that it would be fun to have Artisan to come on and talk about what's happening with our franchises. What's happening? Well, are they our franchises? What's happening with the franchises that we've held dear for the last 20 to 30 years? What's happening in Hollywood and Marvel and Disney? Why are they doing this? I just thought it'd be fun to have Artisan come and talk about it since he has a weekly show covering these things, and I'm sure Charles has opinions on these things too. So with that, everyone, I'm going to bring up Artisan MC. We're going to do a little Q&A, and if folks are hanging around in the chat, I'll drop the link afterwards, and we'll all talk geek talk. Artisan, what's going on?
What's going on, Dr. Dunbar? How are you?
How about you? Good. How are you?
All right. Your intro was making me laugh.
Dude, you know what? Every time I see you go live on Sunday now, man, the thumbnail is the She-Hulk. So
what thumbnail? My thumbnail is not She-Hulk.
I mean, it looks like the one that you're using a lot of time. Or maybe,
yeah, when I do my
maybe you're hashtagging it. But
yeah,
She-Hulk
I'm hashtagging it.
Everybody's talking about She-Hulk now, man.
It's the show that was going on for this last month. It's been 5 episodes of this shit. This is the main thing I'm talking about because this is the show that was going on until Andor, Rings of Power, House of the Dragon picked up. I was like, crap, I'm hating to keep talking about this. This is what was happening in that space between actual good shows on and this came out and it was like, oh my god, yeah, there's been a mustache on the Mona Lisa in a sense, and giving her buck teeth at the same time.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, I have a few questions here, Artisan. You've seen them, and then we'll work our way back around to She-Hulk and the other masterpieces that have arguably been defiled. So
yes,
as you know, we collaborated on a stream the first time, talking about your blue collar trade, but you're also a sci-fi and a comic book geek, quote unquote. And it sounds like a bit of a gamer. Talk about your youth and how you got into these aspects.
My youth, the fun times. My first video game system was Atari 2600 when it first came out back in the 80s. I was born in the 70s, so I'm an 80s kid, hardcore. Got into video games from there, playing freaking Pitfall and E.T. and Street Racer and Skydiver and Centipede, Asteroids, that got me on gaming hardcore. When my mother first bought us our NES system when they first came out to America, and I got on Super Mario Brothers, it was over. It was done. Zelda came along, finished. That was what I liked doing. Just loved doing that from a young age. It was like, 3rd or 4th grade when it was brand new, was into it. Comic books came a little later with my cousins, not that much later, but my cousins who had lived in Hawaii and whatnot, their father was a Marine and a carpenter, right? So when they moved back to the States, I was spending a lot of time with them, going to school with them. And one of the things that the family always did was one day out the week or certain times during the evening, everybody had to read. No TV, no nothing. Everybody was sitting in the living room by the fireplace reading. And it didn't matter what you read, you just had to read. So their house was good for having encyclopedias, National Geographic, novels, classic novels, and comic books. So if I go to my earliest memory of a comic is sitting with my cousin, who comes in my my chat sometimes on Sundays, sitting there reading the Iron Man comic book by the fire, and thinking how cool it was that Tony Stark had like a grappling hook in his belt. I'm like, holy cow, he can do that? He scaled a whole wall with his belt. That's awesome, right? So that was me getting into comics. By the time I got up into junior high school, I met my buddy Thompson. And Thompson was a hell of an artist. He was a hell of an artist. He was deeply into comics, deeply into Batman. He could draw Batman like nobody's business. And it's only to this day now that I think that he draws like the man who just passed recently. I'm forgetting his name now because I'm trying to think about it. But he drew like him. And he was the one who introduced me to the comic shop I later ended up buying. You know? So geekdom has been there with me for a long time, and I found it and really, really loved it. And that spun into everything that I like, be it comics, be it art, be it video games. All of that stuff kind of worked together, so that's where I stayed. I loved it. I didn't want to have to leave it.
Okay.
Neil Adams. Thank you, Charles. Thank you for having the other part of my brain, brother. Neil Adams. He drew
Charles,
like Neil Adams.
Yeah, Charles was a comic book guy. Yeah, Charles schooled me on, let's see if I can do this, what Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman represent. So Batman is justice, Wonder Woman is truth, Superman is hope. I think that's right.
Yep. Yeah, that's about right. I can agree with that. Superman is hope. Wonder Woman, because she's always looking for the truth. That's why she has the lasso of truth. Batman, you can intermix it with justice or vengeance. It's supposed to be justice, right? It's supposed to be justice because that's what his main drive is. He wants justice for what happened to him and to bring justice into the world, that order out of the chaos, you know. But it is something he'll have to die doing because he ain't changing the nature of people. Just not. Yeah. It is what it is. And Superman is that hope because we could be better. That's why they're the Trinity of DC in a sense.
Okay, so you grew up in the '80s, so that means you saw Transformers and G.I. Joe and Thundercats and Silverhawks and
those are my cornerstones. Those are my cornerstones.
Yeah, Robotech and
Robotech,
Voltron.
Yes.
And you also saw the transformation of Batman from the Alan West,
yes,
campy Batman to the Michael Keaton dark.
Yep. Yeah, when Tim Burton got a hold of him and made him a bit dark.
Yeah. Okay. So you saw that. All right. And you played on the Nintendo. We had the Sega Master System, and our best friend had the Nintendo. I was always a Super Mario 2 guy. That was my game, Super Mario 2.
Yep.
And then the Mega Man 2. I love the Mega Man 2, where you get the other guy's powers.
I like Mega Man. There was just something about the format that didn't let me stick with Mega Man. I like the fact that you could always move around and, I can go fight Cuts Man or go fight Bubble Man or something like that. But it was something else in Mega Man that really irritated the hell out of me, that didn't make me stick with it as much as I stuck with Super Mario. I mean, I played Super Mario Brothers all the way through. I don't think I stopped playing Super Mario Brothers until like Mario 64 or something like that. That was the last one I played. But those games are the ones where I really got started on beating games. I played a game until I beat it. It was done, did every level, found every secret, and then I moved on to the next game. Those were actually the ones I actually first started buying. Like, my mother bought us our NES. From the NES on, I bought the systems, and I would take the system with me to every family function. So me and the younger cousins, you know, while all the grown folks out there talking, we in the back room with the Nintendo plugged up, you know, getting it in, right? So after that, every game I bought, every system I bought, it was me. It was mine. You know, I had to keep playing it. It was just too much fun to me.
Okay. Now, did you ever get into any of the RPGs?
Of course. Of course. My first RPG was Legend of Zelda, and in a looser sense, Legend of Zelda is an RPG because you're playing this character and you're constantly building that character up, getting better weapons, getting better skills the whole time. But I also played Dragon Warrior. Fucking dumbass doing donuts.
Donuts. All right, West Side.
Yeah, West Side. Yeah, he doing donuts. I'm looking for Officer Jones. Come get this food. Got a kid in the car hanging out the window. Stupid ass. But sorry. But Legend of Zelda was the start. Dragon Warrior was the second. Got up to Chrono Trigger. Was really into RPGs after that. And that became the primary game that I played. I always, even to this day, RPG is my go-to game. I like open world games where you can play the character and you can customize and design that character the way you want to play it and the way you want it to look, and just go out and explore and get into adventures. Like, recently I've been back on Skyrim for the last 2 or 3 weeks, or 4 weeks at this point, ever since She-Hulk came out. Interesting. And Skyrim is just endlessly fun to me. I can play that game all day and never actually do anything quest related, but have a lot of stuff going on, which is what I love. I just like to be able to immerse myself and get into it and go along with it.
Okay, before we move on, how about Grand Theft Auto? Did you get into those?
Oh yeah. Grand Theft Auto is interesting because Grand Theft Auto was not a game initially that I liked. That I bought it for my younger brother. All right, I have a younger brother that I grew up with who's 3 years younger than me. And while I was still in the Nintendo, when the PlayStation came out, he was into the PlayStation. So I bought him a PlayStation, right? And the game that he wanted was Grand Theft Auto. I wasn't really into it at that time. It was top down. It was the first one. Like, okay, what are you doing? You doing crimes and stuff? Whatever. I'm not interested in that. I want to go off and have this adventure with swords, bows, and arrows and stuff, right? By the time it got up to PS2, I believe it was, and I finally bought a PlayStation, I got Grand Theft Auto, and it was San Andreas because it was set on the West Coast, and the soundtrack was all 90s rap and stuff like that. It's like, oh, let me see what this is about. It looks good, hearing good things about it. Let me see what it's about. I got it with that system. I was already playing SOCOM. I got that Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, loved it. Open world, you can drive, you can ride motorcycles, you can have cars, you can talk to people, you can have girlfriends, you can rob, you can kill, you can do good things like helicopters, planes. I'm like, I was so blown away by how much was in that game. I was like, they mixed like 15 different types of games into one. This is awesome. You know, the collecting thing, the scavenger hunt type of situation, quest modes, just open world. It was the most fun I've had playing a video game, and it's one of those games of that generation that I just love. I'll go back to anytime. I have it on my PS4 and PS5 right now, so I can go back and play San Andreas whenever I feel like. It's one of those games that I just put up there. That's all-time favorites. So okay. After that, I played San Andreas, but I didn't like Vice City too much. It was too retro for me. Too 80s. It was dumb. Couldn't get into the graphics because I started with San Andreas. So I started with the 4th installment. Haven't played 5 too much, but I like San Andreas. That's why I haven't moved on from it.
Okay. Well, before we move on, yeah, me and my brother, we had the Sega Master System, the mean, he was the one who spearheaded that. He was saving the money, and we're gonna get this. And he's my older brother, and I got sucked into the Fantasy Star game, the very first one.
Yeah, I remember
that was my first time being sucked into a game and like playing for hours and hours and feeling like I was in the game.
Yep.
And the same thing happened for me when I got my first Xbox, well, my only Xbox, which was in grad school, and I got sucked into playing Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic.
Yeah.
And
KOTOR got you.
I just remember, yeah, man. I just remember hours and hours would go by. Didn't have to go outside. Didn't really have to eat. I could just sit there and just keep playing and playing and playing. And that's one of the reasons why I haven't. My best friend keeps telling me, you need to get a game system. You need to get another one. I just think it would take too much time.
It would. It would.
Yes,
Don't do it.
Just take too much time.
Don't do it. Don't do it unless you got time. I have fought this week because I've had a little bit more free time. This week I've fallen asleep twice this week playing Skyrim with the system on because you can play it all day. It's just I'm just there. I fell asleep. The game is still on. It's still standing in my house. It's crazy. But the first game I actually got sucked into was Super Mario Brothers. Super Mario Brothers. I remember it distinctly because I was sucking so bad at trying to beat this level with Bowser. I think it was like level 2. And that I was dreaming about it in my sleep. I was dreaming about that level in my sleep, how to beat that level. And sure enough, when I woke up that next morning, I did what I was thinking of in my dream, and I beat the level. I was like, oh, well, that was easy. But I knew, even at a young age, I said, I shouldn't be dreaming about this. I shouldn't be dreaming about it like that. It can't be showing up in my dream. So I understand how it works.
Okay. Well, let's move on. I know folks want to hear about She-Hulk. So your weekly show is called Shop Talk Live.
Yep.
And talk about why you started it and what kinds of things were you talking about? I think I did watch a couple of them. Before She-Hulk started, what were you talking about before She-Hulk?
Before She-Hulk, it was whatever other show was going on. I can't think of what it is right now. These shows go by so fast. I'm not thinking of it at the moment. Somebody in the chat who was watching the stream can tell me what was going on before She-Hulk, because I think we're in a little dry patch with geek content.
Well, we did have the Wakanda Forever trailer.
Yeah, but that's, to me, a trailer is not the content. The content is what show or what movie is out and what show is on. That would be the geek content, because I'm not one of these people who's going to keep going over and over again the same trailer and, analyzing it, picking it up, flipping it over, changing the oil on the same trailer. And it's only 2 minutes worth of anything that you can just keep, trying to crank out content on. It's like, that seems like pointless to me. It's beating the horse to death. It's like, you've seen it. It's 2 minutes. Like, come on, man.
Naris Black says Miss Marvel, and Judge
Miss Marvel
says Loki,
Miss Marvel.
Hawkeye.
Loki was a year or two ago. Hawkeye was not this year, it was last year. The show before She-Hulk was Miss Marvel. And I know what it is while I'm blanking it from my mind. Freaking Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God. Yeah, I was talking about Obi-Wan too. I was doing episode by episode reactions to Obi-Wan and talking about it on Sunday because that was a travesty. They did Ewan McGregor, Hayden Christensen, Obi-Wan Kenobi as a character dirty. That was like, oh my God, I hated watching that show. I hated that show. I was ready to walk away from Star Wars altogether after that show because I was hyped for it. I was really excited for it. And then when I saw what they did with one of the people on it, Deborah Chow, who I was giving praise to for what she did on Mandalorian. She did good on Mandalorian. She got into this, and I don't know what happened. Like, did you good without a handler? What the hell? And then finding out all the backstory, it's like, it's all stuff that KK wanted and was putting in there. So I'm like, okay, so she was in there on bully patrol with these two, or at least this one, because we already know the writer don't know nothing about Star Wars whatsoever. Never watched the movie that came before the show he's writing. So he's just writing whatever she tell him to. It's like, oh my god, dude, that's it was terrible. It was a terrible freaking show. Terrible show. Andor is redeeming my faith in the Star Wars franchise right now. So
okay, I've heard good things about Andor thus far. Again, I'm watching some of these shows vicariously through you guys. I heard terrible things about Kenobi. He was a coward. He was weak. He was the little girl was bossing him around. And then Reva, she was.
Oh my god!
I can argue the show was mostly about her, and then.
Yep.
Okay. Yeah.
Righteous Queens Reva. Judge Zilla is funny. Yeah. Queen Reva was too much. That was too much. Too much.
Okay. Well, all right. So that's your show, and you started.
No, go ahead.
And you just wanted to talk about media, talk about Geek-Talk, and right.
Yeah, the show. I'm sorry, I didn't finish your question. The show was primarily. I tried to bring the experience of being in my comic shop to YouTube. Right when I started my YouTube channel at the behest of the master teacher here, I wanted to be original and put something into the space that didn't exist before. Right? Nobody was really reviewing movies and geek stuff. I tended to know a lot about it. I had these conversations all the time. So what I wanted to bring was the idea that this is the type of conversation that happens in a comic shop, or at least in my comic shop, all the time. We watch these shows. Guys come in every Saturday. Movies come out. They're here on a Saturday, and we're just talking about all of this stuff all at the same time. And the conversation is usually as long as the shop is open or past that time. So I started recording those conversations that we were having, and that it was just audio. So when I tried to do a live show, I figured, well, just bring this recorded content that's already having, bring it into the fore where people can see it and actually be a part of that conversation, which is always the fun part of somebody new walking into the comic shop. If we're in there having a conversation about something and somebody new comes in, they start listening to the conversation and then they join the conversation. It's like really engaging. It's no judgment. They come in, it's like, oh no, I saw that. I thought it was garbage. What did you think was garbage about it? Well, it was this, and this. Well, man, I actually like that, but you don't know where that went? No, I don't know where it came from. Oh, it's a comic on the shelf to tell you where that idea came from. You know, it's a really evolving conversation that actually brings everybody in, and everybody gets to have their voice heard. It's one thing to have a show where you're just talking at people. It's a whole other thing to have a show, and the people who are watching it with you or watching the same thing you are can come in and actually share their ideas and their views on this. Because then it's not just you. This is, if you want consensus in this world, this is consensus. This is the watching public. This is what we thinking of it. It's not just me saying it. They said it too, right? So that was why I tried to bring it in there and call it Shop Talk. It's just how we talk while we're in the shop, going over all this geek stuff that we love and talking about it and sharing our ideas on it. The live part is that you've seen it live. It's happening right now. And a lot of shows I've done in the shop where you see it's people coming in, they'll join the conversation. Even seeing me on the camera, they'll join the conversation and they don't even have to be on the camera. They have something to say about this because geeks are passionate about it. So that was what I tried to bring to the space, that idea of what a comic book geek is, what a geek is, what a comic book nerd is, to make that classification and say, this is how it goes down where I'm from, and share that with everybody.
Okay. I was just thinking for people who are not into this or who are not into comic books and characters and action figures,
Mm-hmm.
it probably sounds like a whole different world.
It
And
is.
I was thinking about when I had Dr. Johnson over to talk about the Wakanda Forever trailer.
Mm-hmm.
There are a lot of people who look at everything surrounding Black Panther and even the Woman King and She-Hulk and what's happening with Rings of Power, and people are looking in and saying, these are just movies. It's just a movie. Why are you guys so worried about that?
Right.
So it's a whole subculture. It's a whole world.
It is.
What I'm saying.
And that's the funny thing that I see about it is that geekdom, as I call it, was subculture for a long time. 80s, 90s, that was subculture. It wasn't the mainstay of entertainment. It was subculture. You had to go through some personal, separation in a sense to understand that you stand on the square, you like this type of material, and you're going to enjoy it regardless of who thinks it's silly or childish or any of that. You're gonna stand there and enjoy it. You go to cons, you might dress up, you watch every episode of a cartoon, even though you've grown. It doesn't matter. You love this material, so that's what you're gonna do. It's only in recent times, like late 90s and 2000, when they figured out it was some money in it, that Hollywood really started looking for new ideas, and they start trolling comic books, and all this stuff starts blowing up, making hundreds of millions and then billions of dollars. That, oh yeah, everybody's a geek now. Everybody loves this stuff. Like, no, you didn't. Not from my vantage point. This was subculture, and coming from that rebellious generation who wanted to define ourselves, Generation X, we liked it because it was subculture. We didn't like it because it was mainstream. We liked it because we liked it. Nobody else had to like it for us to like it. We liked it just as it was. So seeing everything go mainstream, I think that's why so many of us Gen X geeks, keep shaking our head at some of the stuff we see, because it is, ruining the Mona Lisa for us. It's like, oh my God, why'd you do that?
we're gonna segue there next. Before we move on, I won't profess to know as much about the Marvel lore as you know, as Charles knows, as other guys know. I know a little bit. I know a little bit about DC. I'm a bit of a Trekkie, and what's funny is this is my smallest channel, and I don't upload content here enough. But I did create a Star Trek video before this one. It was a voiceover talking about my favorite episode from the original series, and that one got a lot of traction.
Trekkies is out there.
Speaks to how deep the love for Star Trek runs, even now in 2022.
Yeah.
So this stuff, it matters.
Yep. So
okay.
I've always considered myself a Trekkie and a Star Wars fan. I love sci-fi. I do love sci-fi. When I sit down and I'm reading a book or novel, it will usually be sci-fi. Not always a lot of fantasy, but it's always some science fiction. Science fiction got me early. Star Trek got me early. Star Wars got me early. I named some of these goofy old movies that were sci-fi out in space that always interest me, but even going back to Lost in Space, right? So Trek stuff, yes, I know those people are out there. I know those people are out there. You put up a Trek video and you showing your love for it, that's where you'll see geeks show up, because they have a love for that material too. And for me, the funny thing about geeks is geeks always love people who like the things that they do. If they can tell you really love this stuff, they'll be there to support you. That's why it doesn't matter if you know as much as I do or Charles does about Marvel or DC. That doesn't matter. The fact that you love it is more important. So you can always learn, because geeks are always willing to tell you what the hell they know. Charles can school me on some stuff with DC because I don't heavily read DC. He does. I more read Marvel and Image. I read some DC here and there, but it's not my weekly buy. No, it wouldn't have been my weekly buy, but that's fine. It doesn't have to be. There's enough out there that everybody can read what they like and then come together and share all of that with each other. Like, it's a potluck.
Okay. Well, and you know what? I'll use that that voiceover, that Star Trek video that I did. I'll use that as a jumping off point for this. I pointed out
Okay.
in that voiceover that Gene Roddenberry and whoever wrote that episode, they were trying to say something. They were trying to tell us something, and they weren't just putting those characters up there just to put those characters up there just to get a laugh out of people. There was a point, there was a principle, there was a underlying real world parallel to that particular episode. It was the episode where the one guy's side was black and the other side, other guys, one half was black, the other side was white, and then the other guy, his left side was black and his right side was white. So it was about racism.
Right.
So let's fast forward to storytelling today. And let's talk about She-Hulk.
Okay.
All right, it's about to get lit. Okay. For someone, again, I am not as familiar with the She-Hulk lore in terms of the comic books, in terms of the way Stan Lee or whoever wrote that. What is the issue? Because everyone whoever's watching this, I mean, there are numerous content creators creating content.
Mm-hmm.
Critical Drinker, Film Threat, that Star Wars girl. Everybody's
watching and talking.
What is wrong with this show, Artisan, in your opinion?
Okay, my opinion, and I'll say this up front. Did I read a shitload of She-Hulk? No, I did not read everything from She-Hulk. Very familiar with the character, but I didn't read a lot of She-Hulk, right?
Okay.
But one of the things I know from what I've read of the She-Hulk character, Jennifer Walters is not a person that's on her feminist bandwagon. She's not on the feminist bandwagon. Jennifer Walters doesn't actually hate men. She doesn't. She is not some tragically overlooked girl who just wants to be mad at all men for why she can't get to where she wants to in life, and then doesn't want to be She-Hulk because it's bringing all kind of undue attention on her. It's reversed. Okay, it's reversed. Jennifer Walters becoming She-Hulk was something that she wanted. She was happy. She was cool. She didn't want to go back. She was happy being this way. It made her more empowered as a woman and a lawyer, being able to be this big, attractive, 7-foot-tall woman. That's why she spends so much time in her She-Hulk form, even though she can change back and forth at will. She wants to be She-Hulk. This show plays it like She-Hulk is a downside for her. She doesn't want to do it. She just wants to be taken serious as she is. And I'm like, that's not right. Most of the complaints that come from this show and this character has to do with the writing. And what is wrong with the writing is that the woman who created the show did a self-insert and mapped herself over onto the character of Jennifer Walters. So Jennifer Walters is not acting like Jennifer Walters from the comic book. She's not even acting like Jennifer Walters in It'll Be Okay for the MCU sense. She's acting like Jennifer Walters if she was this frumpy Asian woman who kind of gets looked at but kind of doesn't, because she roams in circles around Southern California with a bunch of white folks. That's what you're getting. That's why Jennifer Walters in this show is such a pain in the ass. She's condescending to her cousin, which is a total departure of how she is in the comic book. She loves her cousin, being Bruce Banner. She's condescending to her cousin. She's condescending about the struggle that he has had to go through to become the Hulk and what he went through becoming a Hulk and what he's had to deal with all his life. She's downplaying that to elevate her struggle of, well, people catcall me and people explain stuff to me, even though I'm an expert in my field. It's like, that's not even true, because if you watch the episodes, she's not really good at what she's doing. She's not. It's not being proven anywhere. So she comes off as more of an irritating person rather than a person that you end up liking. Like, She-Hulk is fun. She-Hulk is fun. She's confident. She's boisterous. She don't have a problem with dudes, but she can get into a scrap if she need to and hold her own. You like Jennifer Walters. You don't like her in this MCU She-Hulk show. You don't like her at all. She's unlikable. It's like, why am I watching this? This is stupid. And it's because of the self-insert that the writer didn't know anything about the character, so the writer just put themselves in there. And for what you can see from it, the writer ain't that interesting of a person either. Not. At this rate, after 5 episodes, I'm looking like you were diversity hired, weren't you? At this rate, because I listened to an interview with the writer, and she talks about how many times she pitched scripts to Kevin Feige and Marvel. It's like 3 or 4 times. They rejected her every time. For every one of these major movies that came out, she pitched them a script and they rejected it. And then you have to ask yourself, well, why did they reject it and why did they approve it this time for this show? She pitched for Hawkeye. She pitched for Shang-Chi. I think she might have pitched for Eternals or something like that. Why'd they give you She-Hulk? My thinking is they finally gave you something so they'd stop having to see her again. And stop having to tell her no every time, because she was just obviously missing the mark on what these characters were. But for being a comedy writer, none of this stuff is funny. The funniest episodes weren't even written by her. So I'm like, so where's the comedy coming from? This is not funny. Because she did an episode of Rick and Morty, she gave you Pickle Rick, and now she good? That must have been a fluke. Because none of this stuff in She-Hulk that she got her name all over is funny. It's all acerbic, man-hating insults. And for me, a lot of blackmail bashing. A lot of blackmail bashing and a lot of BW ass kissing to play them up as being more than they are in the situation. Like, look, I know people like that in California who are Asian. That doesn't work for me. It is really off-putting to me. So that's the short version of what's wrong with the show, just on a writing point.
Okay, well, I've heard that there is a lot of that Marvel, well, some of these corporate entities, they're hiring directors and writers who aren't familiar with the source material, and they're just kind of taking the story and just kind of mashing it up, and here, this is our version of it.
Yeah, to me, look, I look at it like this. Even if the writer or director was not familiar with the product, right? If you are going to pitch a script for this product, you would actually learn something about it, right? It's no different than having a job interview at a Fortune 500 company. You would learn something about that company. You would actually do some research on that company before you sat down into the interview to talk about, well, why would you want to be a part of this company, right? You would know something. Now, I know, some comic book artists and some comic book writers. And when they get approved to write stories for one character, maybe they might not have been following all the publications. They go back and research all of it. They go back and read all of it. But it shows that this person on this show didn't do that. This person read some cliff notes, pulled some stuff from here, pulled some stuff from there, and blammo. Now they got a script for a story, which basically what they know about She-Hulk could have been a Google search on Wikipedia. They don't know the character. They spent no time doing it. And that's what makes geeks so upset when you take a character that people actually love. Guys like She-Hulk. Females like She-Hulk. Like the She-Hulk character in comics. If you put her in a book, people will read it, right? Why are they hating this show? Because this is not She-Hulk. The person who did the show doesn't know anything about this character. Doesn't know their personality. It'd be like somebody writing Spider-Man and they have Spider-Man, talking crap to old ladies. And he don't like old people. Ain't your Aunt May old? He's heckin' disrespectful. It wouldn't work. It would show that this person doesn't know what character they're writing for. It would show, just like it shows in She-Hulk. They don't know this character, and they're doing the character a disservice by doing that. But if you're not going to spend the time to do the research on the product, on the project that you're going to work on, why even do it? Why even do it? There's no point. You don't have to know it in and out, but if you're going to do it, you better learn a lot on it, because the people who actually have lived with this character the longest, which is the fans, are going to have issue with you if you start messing it up for them. They want to like it. They're watching it to like it. And that's not what they're getting, and that's why they're upset.
Yeah. Okay. Well, everyone, if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. I need 150 more. I'm sorry. I need 150 more to get a community tab over here. If you want to donate something, that information is there. Artisan, so there's knowing the source material is important, but I also heard with regards to Bruce, this the whole Mary Sue thing. So she was able to just come in and master her power and do things better than him. And we've seen the Mary Sue quite a bit in recent reboots of franchises or continuations of franchises. The Star Wars series being probably the most notable. So I know that a lot of people were a little annoyed about that.
Yep.
I want to ask you something. I guess maybe when I finally watch an episode and I can see it, but I don't have a trained eye for CGI. So you've been very outspoken about, and others have said it too, about the CGI not looking right. Does it just not look real, or?
Okay, so this is how I judge CGI, because I like that you put that question in there, because it does stretch people just repeating a point of saying, well, the CGI looks bad. Well, how do you know good CGI and bad CGI?
Yeah.
Okay, the difference between good CGI and bad CGI is it actually fools your eye. Like this picture right here that you have up right now, what's wrong with that picture? One, her face looks distended and not part of that green mask. It's like they put that face on top of that green mask. The other thing is her hair looks very flat. There's no texture or anything to it. It has that gray tone in it, but that's not how hair shines in direct sunlight, right? I mean, if you look at is the shadows even falling correctly on her body in the hair? No, it looks like it's this Lego hair, like it's just sitting on top of her freaking head, right? Now, other scenes in the show, it's like that. It's like they did motion capture for the body and they did facial capture for the face, and putting those two things together, they didn't sync it up good. It doesn't look right. It draws your eye to it as being wrong, because CGI is supposed to trick your natural eye, because faces is what human beings recognize right off the bat, right? If it's not tricking your eye, it's not tricking your mind, and you're seeing the imperfections and like something doesn't look right about that, that means the CGI is off. That means it's messed up. But when you can see it moving and see the character moving and the face is just kind of here a little bit out of sync, it's like, dude, that's bad. I could have did that on my phone. What are you doing? Like, what the heck? It's people who do this just part-time that's turning out better work. You can't tell me this is a big budget, CGI house getting paid by Marvel and this is what they turned out. Come on, man. That's just an excuse. Y'all not doing the job. You're not cutting the mustard. So it seems in there. The most notable one was that Megan Thee Stallion episode. I think it was where Jen, the one I'm thinking of right now, is where She-Hulk is sitting at the computer in her office, and she turns to talk, and that facial situation is floating. It doesn't look like it's on that body at all. It's like they superimposed it onto that body. It's like, what is that? Sometimes when she's moving, the clothes don't seem right. They don't flow right. It's like, okay, so they CG'd the whole body, and then that doesn't look good. So it goes back and forth. Some stuff they spent money on. Some parts they seem like they rushed it. That's just how it is. Good CGI, Look at the Lord of the Rings movie. Good CGI, right? In dark light and in bright light. It looks like they're part of the environment. Bad CGI, it draws your eye to it. You're not fooled at all. You're like, no, this is not okay. Something is off with this kid, right? That's what happened when you outsource Charles. I see Knight's Palace got some stuff in there. I actually like Shang-Chi. I actually did like Shang-Chi. That dragon looked more believable than She-Hulk's face sometimes. Just saying.
Okay. All right. Well, we're at about an hour. I want to, if you can hang around for a little bit, I want to give some of the folks in the chat to. I know Charles has something to say about this. I think Kareem.
Yeah,
does.
I'm good. I'm sure Kareem got something to say. I'm sure Charles does too.
So Artisan. So when you look around at all the franchises, I mean, I just named off here Black Panther, Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Resident Evil. Like, okay, I know we're in the age of gender equity and equality, and I know that they want to communicate the message that women can lead and women can do what men can do.
Okay.
What I'm saying is I don't have a problem with female protagonists. I think female protagonists, if they're written well, that's good. But
I agree.
Having one just to have one and not making her earn her power, I think that's where a lot of this is falling short. And I think that's where a lot of people are getting frustrated. So I think they're sacrificing the franchises in order to get that whatever it is they're trying to get across. They're sacrificing the franchises. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I could see that, and I can agree with some of that. I think the problem they're running into is they're pushing more agenda than actual story.
Yeah,
and that's what the problem is. I understand that, like comics, they are of their time.
Yes.
In a sense. They will inject a bit of what's going on in the outside world into the material, but it's taken in a sci-fi way where you're looking at it objectively. And when it comes to an agenda, there is no objective looking at it. This is what it is. You have to accept it as this. And that's what doesn't work in this medium, because I'm all for female protagonists. I've never had a problem with female protagonists in anything. I don't. But I don't like badly written female protagonists. I'm supposed to like her because you said I'm supposed to like her. That's not how it works. Does she have her hero's journey? Did I see her struggle to get to where she is? Did she earn this position? No. Then why do I care? I wouldn't care if it was a guy doing the same thing. No. I mean, perfect example. You watch Game of Thrones, right? Everybody knows who Littlefinger is, right?
Yep.
Did you feel bad when Littlefinger got killed?
No.
No. Because he didn't earn it. He was killing people. He was messing people over, but he didn't earn it. So you don't care. But you did feel something for Ned Stark when he got his head cut off. You felt really something for that. Yep. Because you got from the rest of the characters, Ned Stark was about duty and honor. And that's what he was doing. He didn't even want to be there. But he was going to do his duty, and he earned it through war and through everything else. By the time you in that series, you find out what he sacrificed, his own self-image and everything else to look after his sister's child, right?
Yep.
Littlefinger, he just screwed people over, left, right, and center. He was never good. He was never really trying to earn it. He was always looking for the back door. That's why you didn't feel bad when he got killed. That's writing. Some of this other stuff that they give you with the female characters is just that. It's the same thing. You go to Rings of Power, it's the same thing right now with Galadriel. Why should you listen to her? Well, just because she knows. Well, why does she know? Well, just because she knows. Well, why is she so bitchy? Because her brother died. Wasn't that like 1,000 years ago? Get over it. But why should we follow you? Just because she's there. I'm like, look, she's not interested. You're making a character that was actually interested, not interesting. What are you trying to show me, please? Because she's not entertaining. And the actress coming out on social media saying the goofy stuff that she's saying is really not helping it any, which is part of why some of this stuff starts failing so quickly.
You know what's interesting? And before I say this, for those who might be looking in on us and saying they don't want female characters, no, I think. Well,
I love female characters.
One of the classic female characters is Ellen Ripley. In Aliens. You were rooting for her. You're rooting for her to survive that entire thing, and to even kill the queen. And you were rooting for that character because it was so well written, and they had a way of investing us in that journey, in her journey.
Right. So, because if you think about it, with Ellen Ripley, was she the biggest? Was she the baddest?
No.
Could she kick everybody's butt? No. I seem to remember her being on a prison planet with Charles S. Dutton, and he had to keep people from, getting a grape on her. She wasn't badass because she could kick every man's butt around her and everybody had to be weak next to her. That's not why you liked Ellen Ripley. You liked Ellen Ripley because she was a regular person put in extraordinary situations and found a way to overcome. That is the hero's journey. These modern characters with these agendas wrapped around them never have to do that. Galadriel in Rings of Power ain't getting over nothing but her own personal shit. And everybody else is just supposed to be weaker next to her because I'm the white woman elf and I should be above all of you. Like, come on, man. This is so lame. It's not working. It's not working. Mm-hmm. But she has no flaws. She's weak to nothing. There's nothing wrong with her. She doesn't have to struggle. This is all just old hat for her, apparently. No, that's not what Ellen Ripley was. That ain't what Sarah Connor was.
Sarah Connor, yep.
She turned herself from a pointless girl in one movie who was just living her life, waitressing and whatever, to the second movie, she come back as a hardcore soldier. She in train. She ain't got with some people to teach her stuff. She got some men to teach her how to do this stuff, so she can teach her son.
In the jail cell.
Working out in the sanitarium. She in jail in the psych ward doing pull-ups on her bed. Like, who do you see that from except, hardcore prison inmates, like still getting their core exercise in?
Yep.
She came back a whole different character, and she was not taking none from anybody. Dude, she turned into a whole different character, and you're like, oh my God, thank you. She badass. And she didn't win.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna make one more observation, and I'm gonna ask you one more question, and then I'll throw a link in the chat. What's interesting now, it's getting pretty fierce out here because these movie companies, they're clapping back. The actors are clapping back at the fans, and they're so it's kind of have fire going both ways now. And the movie houses and the actors are getting a little annoyed because the fans aren't liking what they're putting out, which is very interesting because you need the fans to buy your tickets for you to make money. You know what I mean? For that project to pay for itself and to turn profit. But it's almost as though they're not making these projects for the fans, and they're getting upset when the fans aren't liking them.
Well, I can agree with what you're saying, but I'll make a slight correction on it.
Go ahead.
It's not necessarily the movie studios themselves who are clapping back at the fans.
Okay.
What's happening is the activists who want to push this agenda inside of these movie studios are the ones clapping back. It's the actors, the writers, the directors. It's not the heads necessarily of the studio, because some of them have all been ran out of there, except for Amy Pascal over at Fox Sony, or over at Sony, and then KK over in Lucasfilms. Most of these other companies is backing off from that because they're seeing how much money they're losing because of it. And a lot of firings and stuff like that is happening behind the scenes to get these people out of these companies. Even Netflix is doing it. Like
Yeah,
they're losing too much money.
didn't your boy from DC? I know that the Batgirl got yanked, right? Some of those projects got canceled because
Zaslav. Yeah, Zaslav is over there, cleaning their house, and everybody is trying to go after him now. Like, oh, he's doing something wrong with doing this because they're trying to fight that agenda being pushed out. Is what it is. Zaslav is there because that agenda lost Warner Brothers so much freaking money that they can be bought twice over. Now they're about to get sold for a third time. It's not working. That Batgirl stuff, look, I've read Batgirl. I like Barbara Gordon. She ain't never been a Latina. Never. Never happened. So I don't know what everybody is upset about, but that wasn't Barbara Gordon right off the bat. It wasn't. Now, if you want to get on the director side of that, oh, we did this and we had a successful run on Ms. Marvel. Look, I like Ms. Marvel on Disney Plus because I was actually reading the Ms. Marvel comic book before this show was ever announced for anything. I liked it. I didn't mind some of the changes that they made, especially since the person who created the character was there working on the show. Not much you can argue about there, right? They approved of the changes. But the show wasn't widely received by a lot of people that didn't like it at all. So these guys doing a Batgirl show, what did you think? It was just going to be gold? No, it wasn't. Warner Brothers wasn't producing gold. It wasn't. So there's no reason to believe that this was going to be it. It's not. They want to back it because it had so much agenda wrapped up into it that, oh, they're losing this. Like this was their last chance or something. That's why so many people are coming out from Hollywood and trying to go after Zaslav for killing Batgirl. Like, do they care about anything else that's been killed since then? No. Legends of Tomorrow, Flash, none of that stuff. They don't care about none of this. But Batgirl is the holy grail, apparently. Like, get over it. It's over. So this is the actors and the writers that are actually pushing this. Let's attack the fan base because they're the ones who have the problem, which makes you understand why would you burn your food source? Why would you burn your food source? These are the people who you should be making this product for because they supported it all this time. You're going to smear cake in their face and tell them it's not for them? Then why are you even here? Why are you even using these characters? Why are you not doing your own show somewhere else with some other characters and telling the same story?
Mm-hmm.
Because these companies are where the money is and where the most eyes are. And they figured this out with this agenda a while back, which is it wasn't enough to keep putting these things out by themselves and them failing because not enough people saw them. So they figured out how to get into these companies like Opportunistic Infections and then put their message out into these companies' products because more eyes get to see it. But what's happening is more eyes are getting to see it, and you're costing these companies millions upon millions of hundreds of millions of dollars. And now these companies can't shoulder that anymore because of the economy. And so now this stuff has to go. That's why you get a Zaslav. That's why you get Chapek doing what he's doing behind the scenes in Disney and Lucas. That's why KK has got to get out of there. That's why the chick at DC left. That's why some of these other people have left and walked out the back door quietly with their golden parachute. Nobody's seen them, ain't heard from them. They ain't sent the email, nothing. They just disappeared all of a sudden, and everybody's changing up their ideas. G4 went down from this stuff. Netflix has lost a bunch of people, and the CEO put out his message about it. It's happening all over the place. They cannot shoulder this burden of this BS anymore. They don't want you screwing up the fan base. They don't. And that's what they've done for, 10 years with this crap?
Mm-hmm.
Nope. Ain't working. Not profitable. Losing money. So,
okay.
That's my view on it. Sorry about that.
No, that's all right. That's all right. The Eternals, Paperboy. That scene with Paperboy. I was in the theater and I was like, I don't want to come see Paperboy.
That was so funny because he looked so uncomfortable doing that damn scene. He looked so uncomfortable doing that scene. It was hilarious, dude. He didn't want to do that. He didn't want to do that. That must have been the one take they could use for that. He gave him one take, and that was it.
Yeah. All right.
That looks so terrible.
Well, I'm going to throw the link in the chat. I'll hang out for another, because it's 9:30 here on the East Coast. Have you been following the Rippaverse?
Yes, I'm waiting on my copy of. Yeah, I'm waiting on my copy of ISOM to show up.
Okay. Shout out to Kareen for calling that to my attention. Kareen said you need to pay attention to Eric July and the Rippaverse.
Oh, I knew it.
Yeah.
Knew about Eric July.
I'm out of the loop with most stuff.
Yeah, been a sub to his for a while, so him doing that was awesome to me. That was awesome. That's, to me, I've actually recently, since watching this Woman King movie, I've heralded that as the path that people should follow if they don't like what they're seeing out here. Make your own, because that's what Eric July was doing. He said he didn't like what he was seeing out there in the comic book universe, and he did something about it. He made his own and put it out there so we could buy it. So I gave him my money for it. I want my copy of ISOM so I can read it and help him be a success. I do. That's what I want. I want people to be active about this and not just sitting and complaining about it. Put something else out there. Then I can pay attention to your stuff instead of their dumb stuff, and they'll lose more money.
Okay. All right, we've been joined by Judgezilla.
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, Judgezilla.
Yeah, no, you guys are Artisan, man. Yeah, sledgehammer on a penny nail. You're doing it. Sledgehammer on a penny nail.
I'm a carpenter.
Hitting all the great points with precision. That you're wielding like steel. John Henry and steel, you know. Little known comics too, but
I know who Steel is. I know who John Henry is. John Henry Irons. That's the Metal Superman.
Yeah, like it's just with these things, as you know, as you're saying, sir, putting the mustaches on these friends, like this did not have to go this way. Again,
no,
as usual, this didn't have to go this way, and specifically with She-Hulk. Okay, where I disagree with Artisan is this. In my opinion, this is my opinion. In my opinion, Jennifer Walters was a feminist. She just wasn't fourth wave feminist. She was like a third wave. She was like a third wave ERA type feminist. Like when she understood how she got turned into a Hulk. She understood. Because of the story that was given in the comics, it was, I had to make a clutch decision to save your life.
Yep.
And I knew the consequences of it, but one of the consequences, the most important consequence, was your life would continue versus me not doing this. Right? So she becomes a Hulk, right? And she accepts that. She accepts it because she learns in the storyline of the comics. I'm not going to spoil it for anybody who wants to read it. She accepts it because the immediacy of the benefits to her of being a Hulk place her in a position it's demonstrated to her. If I was not a Hulk, this would have been worse. So she embraces this thing as She-Hulk in the comics. She embraces this thing, and she says, "Oh shoot! Not only do I get to be this gorgeous, beautiful, idealized, right? Because what people don't understand about the Hulk." The Incredible Hulk is the internal conflict, right, of Bruce Banner, or not Bruce Banner, Bruce Banner, of his mental image of the monster that's in himself, of his psyche, right?
Right,
well,
monster within.
The version of it's the same thing with She-Hulk. That's her ideal, but because she doesn't have the trauma that he came up with in the family that he came up with, right? She's got a good family, she had a good life and everything, and so she idealized herself as the statuesque, beautiful woman. That's what she turns into, and she's able to maintain that. That's also why she doesn't have that in the comics. That's also why she doesn't have that conflict that he has with the Hulk. right?
Exactly. She want to be She-Hulk.
Yeah, she embraces this thing. What we have here in this show is Princess Fiona with a bad attitude comes to the MCU. That's what
shout out to you guys.
Wow, why'd you go to the Fiona?
Like, because that's the equivalent. Like, we've went like just with you were talking about the special effects, right? And it's not even an uncanny valley; it's an uncanny chasm, right?
Yeah.
Like they went back to Scorpion King level. Like it's
like,
so
like
okay,
is that really The Rock?
Look,
y'all know they had to do reshoots because everybody went off on the CGI in the first go around.
But that's the thing is that shows how much that shows how much they're
they had to do a CGI over again.
Well, how much money they're willing to invest in the show shows you how much serious.
It wasn't that much. As I was typing, and shout out to you, Big Discussions. Thank you for allowing me in.
Okay.
Hello, Sir Charles Faulkner, Artisan MC. I love your critique, and Judge Jilla. It's always good to see you. And hello, Kareen.
Okay, so Raven, I want to get Kareen, and she was up next after Godzilla.
No, and that's all I was saying is they showed how much money they're putting into the show, right? Which is obvious. Shows you how seriously this is just a filler garbage. I agree with Artisan on the sense that it's some sort of diversity. I'm tired of hearing from her. Look. We need something to fill this slot between this slot and this slot between this project and this project. Give Pickle Ricket. Yeah, give Pickle Ricket. You know.
Yeah, Pickle Ricket. She did Pickle Rick. He's green.
Like, it's terrible. Look, I love She-Hulk as a character. As a character in the comics, She-Hulk is a very honorable, noble, courageous, even for being a Hulk. When you think of somebody who's a Hulk who has all that immense strength and power and impenetrable skin and all that, very even when she knows she's outmanned, outarmed, or outgunned, she'll step into the fray. This is not She-Hulk. This is not She-Hulk, and that's for people who come up with canon and who come up with story, who come up invested in property lines for the stories that they tell, for the escape that they provide. It's a slap in the face to those people to place that moniker on her. Again, they would have done much better eliminating the She-Hulk thing and just saying Princess Fiona through the looking glass would have been a much better version of this. But I'll acquiesce to Kareem.
I thought I went 7.
Oh my God! Good night, everyone. Good night. How you guys doing? Wow.
What's up, Kareem?
Oh my God! I agree. I'm not a She-Hulk fan at all. I saw that and I was like, I'm not watching this garbage. So I don't have any comment on the story or whatever. I just it looks stupid.
I thought you were watching it. I'm like, you would be the perfect one. You'd be the perfect one to watch it. You don't know anything about the character, and you're female. If you're watching this, that would be invaluable. That'd be invaluable information to see how you are seeing the show.
But that's the problem, right? They come in here and they do all this stuff, and they don't watch the program. They don't watch the programs. They don't support the programs that they complain about. Like I'll give a quick parallel. Like the WNBA. What could all these women who want these women to be paid like the NBA players be doing to support that endeavor? Buying tickets to the game.
They could be, but they're going to the NBA, aren't they?
I don't watch the WNBA, so I don't care about them.
They don't even have to go to the games. They just have to buy the tickets.
They ain't buying the tickets either, because ain't no men there.
Sorry, Kareem, for jumping in again. Sorry.
It's okay. Yeah, I agree. I don't watch the WNBA. It's boring. I don't really watch it. I like regular basketball. I'm not gonna support it. Like I said before, they need to get prettier girls. They need to dress them better. A lot of the players look very ugly, and they're not gonna get a lot of support. They're not. It's just real talk. It is what it is. But I'm
nobody trying to watch a whole team of fucking Hope Gazelles. I mean,
yeah,
God.
they look that. Yeah, it's not attractive. She-Hulk looked crazy too. You're right. She did look like Fiona, and I was like, what is this? I didn't even watch it. But I do agree with you about Andor. I actually love Andor. I'm gonna watch it after I get off get off the chat with you guys. I appreciate it because they're telling their own story, and I think the reason why this one works where the others didn't is because it's from Rogue One and it's kind of was the original type of thing from this group instead of them going into like canon with Obi-Wan and messing it up. And yeah, so I like Andor so far. Hopefully they don't mess it up because I watch Obi-Wan and I stopped watching it after the 3rd episode because I was like, what is this? So I'm hoping that they, it's good. Because that's the only one I've been watching since the new crap.
Yeah, you dodged a bullet by stopping at episode 3. I watched it all the way through. They don't get better. They don't get better.
Wow. Okay, Charles, Castro?
Yes. Where do I begin?
With a whoop?
I'm coming out with a T-shirt that says Disney Plus, where heroes go to die.
The plus is for the options on the casket.
It's kind of funny because, DC has its follies as well. Because at the same time, actually the same day, She-Hulk comes out. Here comes Harley Quinn. When has Batman ever been a simp? When has Batman been so... When has he ever been so heartbroken that Catwoman left him that he can't continue on his crusade of justice? Batman's like the ultimate Chad. Okay. Oh, God. Let's talk about She-Hulk because I've actually followed this character. I've actually, followed the John Burns run. This is where you get a lot of her classic characteristics because the first run, she was basically the carbon copy, tokenized, and feminized version of the Hulk. You look at, excuse me, you look at the character, and first of all, anybody who knows Jennifer Walters, she would have not said some line about, I have it harder than you. No. Jennifer actually adores Bruce. That's not her cousin, that's her brother. In her eyes. She actually felt bad for Bruce, even though she enjoyed her transformation. She's always had a soft spot of understanding. She knew where her cousin came from. She would never disrespect Bruce in the manner that she disrespected her, that he was disrespected on the show. It's incredible because when you read about She-Hulk, she's actually a very lovable character.
Oh yeah.
As a matter of fact, to me, I think she's one of the top four Avengers of all time.
Yes.
I'd agree.
And yes. As a matter of fact, shout out to Wizard, wish they came back, would actually said that she was one of the most quintessential Avengers in a story. Besides, I think next to her would be the Scarlet Witch, maybe even Ant-Man or Wonder Man. But she ranks higher than them because when you think of Avengers from the comic standpoint, you think of her. She was such a great character. She was a member of the Avengers and the Fantastic Four at the same time. That's how badass a character she was.
Wow.
How do you replace Benjamin J. Grimm? Get She-Hulk, and nobody blinked an eye. Yep. So for all you feminists who say they don't like female heroes, we still love the Fantastic Four run of Jennifer Walters. We love the fact that she's flirty. We love the fact that she has a body count that equals all of the National Cemetery. Nobody blinks an eye.
Nobody cares.
She's just one. If you really want to know the quintessential, she's like Kareem. She's one of the guys. She's not so guyish that you think that she's a lesbian. No, she's one of the guys. She's cool. You can acquiesce to some things about her and talk to her. Like on her second run, third run, I believe. It was like when She-Hulk was talking to Hawkeye when he died. You got to think about it. She was red with guilt because she was taken over by one of the Scarlet Witch's spells. So she actually had to go to the time capsule, and she was so loved as a character and as a person that, you know, Bruce came in Hulk form. He was like a cross between Savage and Professor Hulk. And he literally told the people who control time, if you get rid of her, I'm going to be even an angrier Hulk because there's no Jennifer in my life to calm me down. And they were like, do we really want this?
That's one of the three people who can calm down Bruce.
Yeah. And
Jennifer, Betty, and what's his name? Rick Jones. Rick Jones, baby.
Rick Jones. You know, somebody
well,
should just told.
I'm sorry, Sir Charles. I mean, you gotta understand they couldn't stick to the source material. It's Disney. Just like in Moonlight, Moonlight is supposed to be R-rated. They can't do that on Disney Plus.
I mean,
yes, they can.
Here it is ultimately. You had an opportunity because everybody was like, wow, they bring a She-Hulk. We were looking, fans who were about our age group were excited. Like, man, I hope it's funny. I hope it's kick-ass and action-packed stuff. You know, of course you're going to get comedy. She-Hulk's a funny character. But you're getting all this wokeism and feminism, and she's not the feminist. If people actually took the time to read the comics, she would be the feminist that you wouldn't mind having a conversation with. She's like, look, I'm not trying to look for equity. I just want an equal shot. That's She-Hulk. She says, I'm going to prove that I earn my stripes here. And that's what you don't get from a lot of these shows that are showing the wokeism. Think about it.
They're narcissistic and solipsistic. That's what she is in the show.
Exactly. I like to say this before I shut my mouth for a few minutes. Think of the Woman King. Oh, it's the number one movie in America because nothing else is competing against it. It's like the Olympics and everybody. It's like the Olympics and everybody else gets boycotted. And it's truly disturbing on a fundamental level because what would happen if the Woman King had, and I think they did this purposely, what would it had to run against Top Gun?
Yeah, it would have lost.
It would have not only would have lost, they probably wouldn't even make 19 million. They're not even half of the budget yet. So I want you to think about that. Tell a good damn story, male or female, please. And go ahead.
So I have one question. Did they have to tell you guys that if you didn't go watch Django, you were racist?
No, they didn't.
So
they had a whole Mandingo fight in that movie.
If you didn't watch Django, you're not black.
Raven Knight, I love that picture. I just want to ask Charles one more question. So, for the record, they haven't made the movie budget back. I thought O'Shea said they did.
No, O'Shea.
No, they can't. 19 million.
I got my words about what O'Shea's trying to.
All right.
I'm just gonna say this. They're at 19 and the budget's 50.
Yeah.
You didn't even make half of it back. And here's the ultimate part about it. The true test of a movie is not the opening week. It's the second week.
Yeah.
Well, and it's typically what is it? 180% of the movie budget is what the real make back is because of marketing.
Right.
So 80%. Basically, what I'm saying is 80% of the movie budget is usually spent on marketing. So you have to add that on top of that to say what the make back is.
But they said that they're gonna sell it to they're selling it to Netflix. So
of course
Sony will make back its money because it's going to Netflix.
And I'm gonna tell you real quick to answer Doctor a little bit. A lot of black people, it's not like back in the day where we don't have the internet and people can literally lie and say this happened. No, people are actually researching what's this movie about. And believe it or not, a lot of black women are offended by this movie. So when we look at it, it's you have plenty of freaking kingdoms that you could have done a documentary or a remake of Shaka Zulu. I forget the queen's name who found out her subjects were being captured, and she summoned the troops. She gathered people from other kingdoms, and she went to go rescue her people. You won't take her? That was a kick-ass female, a real life one.
Well, Charles, what you're saying again, and that's what I'm saying. People can research this. This isn't even just blackwashing. This is blatant fabrication. This is the loosest interpretation of based on true events. That is one of the loosest interpretations of that ever, because they are fabricating completely situations that went exactly the opposite for this movie.
Yep.
Like there's documentation of this stuff, not only from the European side, but from the African side.
Shameful, very shameful.
Okay,
I want to get Raven Knight in, but I will say that I did read an article here on my channel, and Viola Davis and her husband did. Well, her husband did say this is edutainment. They did both admit that it's not historically accurate.
It's not a historical movie.
Yeah.
I'll say this, Doc. That's the issue with it, because some people will run with it like it's the most educational, true thing. I mean, it's like somehow, some way, I bet you somebody in some woke history class showed the Harriet Tubman movie and actually spew some junk about the big and long.
But Doc, I have to say this. I understand what you're saying, and that's a great, that's a factual, evidential statement. But again, that's like saying Abraham Lincoln vampire hunter.
But the marketing
I love that movie, by the way.
Hey, yeah, I love Abraham Lincoln Vampire Hunt. Don't shit on that.
Or Pride, Prejudice, and Zombies.
Oh God!
Listen,
yeah, you can do that one.
The marketing was that it was historical, though. The marketing was like, this is a historical movie.
Yeah, they actually actually were saying based on if it was fictional, you wouldn't put it based on strong historic events. And by the way, I'm gonna tell every kid from now on that was actually true. Abraham Lincoln got voted in because he hunted down vampires. How do you know that he was? How did you know he was a vampire hunter? Do you see any vampires now? He was damn good at his job.
Is the League of Extraordinary Gentlemen now edutainment?
No.
Hey,
Alan Quartermain, he was a real person, right?
Raven Knight hasn't had a chance to speak yet.
Well, I mean, my take on this next saga, one, you got to understand we on a 5-year roadmap. Disappointing. I don't know if you guys watched D23, but they've already put together the Thunderbolts, which was a Band-Aid fix because the guy who was supposed to play Red Hulk, eventually leading into Red Hulk, has passed away. But what you're seeing right now in this version is an adaptation. They had to rush origin story for She-Hulk because Charles, know how she actually got her powers. They couldn't put that on Disney Plus. People still have the theory that Disney will make an R-rated movie. No, that's not happening. Well, we may see that with Deadpool 3, but I still say
you'll see it before then.
No, we won't.
You'll see it before then.
No, we won't. They haven't done it yet. They ain't gonna do it.
You'll see it before then. The whole point of Disney bringing the Netflix characters over and making it you have to put in your age so you can get mature content is so they can do rated R. They're not doing Punisher or Daredevil not rated R. That's why Deadpool is coming and it has to be rated R, or they're not going to get Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds. They're going to do it. You have to read the whole landscape. They're going to do it.
I mean,
I think they
and
did
Hugh
say
Jackman,
that
it's going to be another comedy.
No, I think they said that it's going to be R-rated on their platform now. I think there was an
Disney Plus.
Yeah,
Disney Plus. Disney Plus's content. If you have Disney Plus, you would have saw this. Once they got the Netflix characters back out of that hiatus that they were on for 2 years, once that passed, Disney Plus put out a thing where you can get mature content on Disney Plus if you put in your age and stuff like that. Once you put that in, you get the mature content. That's when you can see Daredevil and Punisher up there from Netflix. They didn't edit them. It's the same show. So it's rated R content on Disney Plus already.
Oh, they edited it because Jessica Jones ain't gonna have Luke Cage. They brought her back, but they didn't bring back Luke Cage.
Oh man, I can't wait to watch Disney after dark.
That's another one I forgot. That was another well-liked, well-received female protagonist.
Yeah, they brought her back, but they didn't bring back Luke.
Oh man,
they haven't brought either one of them back yet.
You know what? They dropped the ball with Elektra. I swear they did.
Yeah, after Daredevil Reborn, it's her show. Because she's gonna premiere on that. Yeah, she came back, but they haven't brought back they haven't brought back Iron Fist. Well, they are gonna bring back Iron Fist, but they're not bringing back.
Okay, hold up. Reborn is not her show. That's Daredevil's show.
Yeah, that's when she's gonna pop up on Daredevil.
So that's her popping up. She hasn't showed up yet.
Yeah, she has. Well, she also has her. They are bringing her back. She has her own little thing.
They're bringing all of them back. The only one they haven't said who they're bringing back for sure is Iron Fist, and they don't need to bring Iron Fist back by himself. They can bring back a whole Heroes for Hire and bring Luke Cage and him back together.
Exactly.
And then it's not a Danny Rand show. It's a Heroes for Hire show, so you don't get the stigma of we're doing another Iron Fist. But you still get Iron Fist in the MCU.
And
Jessica Jones is coming back after Daredevil because that was the most popular female character from Netflix. So they have to bring her back if they're bringing Daredevil back. It's 1 and 2.
I want a
you get to get a Marvel A-Team type of story type of story series. Yeah.
I'm gonna date myself. I want a Simon and Simon Fall Guy style show with Heroes for Hire.
No, heart to heart.
Heart to heart.
That's
heart to heart.
We're on the same page. We're on the same page, Charles.
Yeah. Gotta get the moonlighting, man. Oh,
it'll be kind of like the Expendables, but with superpowers instead of.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I would really enjoy that because a lot of times adults tell you didn't sing along to the theme song of the Fall Guy. So if you did, you're an extreme liar. We don't like liars.
Shit, I know the theme song to the Fall Guy.
I might jump from an open tall bridge, you know. But it's
I've
funny
never
because
spent much time in school, but I told ladies,
Splitty. Because I made record a superstar.
I want to ask you, brothers, as well as the sisters, how are you guys going to accept Wakanda Forever in November?
How are you going to accept it? You have to see it to figure out how you're going to accept it.
Yeah, I'm going to suspend all judgments until I go see it. Yeah.
And I hope Doc doesn't come out there cussing mad, man, when he comes out of that theater. I hope he's happy.
We're gonna find out.
Like he is now.
I'm a little bit. I'm neutral. Because number one, I don't know. Just like Artisan, you have to see, right? They really haven't given us anything from the promo material I've seen. But if they do go in the way that I think, it all depends on if they go the way I think they're going to go. It depends on how they go there, because there is precedent for the Shuri situation within the comics.
Yes,
and they have the material and they have the opportunity, and they have the resources to tell a good story with it. Right?
We can rebuild it, make it terrible. They have all of that, right? And the unfortunate demise of Chadwick Boseman, they have the ability to honor his inclusion in the first one, and then continue on with this into a path.
Right.
It's whether they can execute it. It's whether they can execute it properly, and I don't have much confidence. That's why I'm specifically like I'm not going to be that guy. I'm not Look, this is the MC. I do agree that it is DC and it is the MCU right now. That being said, I am not a misogynist in the fact that I can't accept female protagonists should they be done well.
Oh yeah,
that's my only requirement for it. I mean, I don't. For me, the protagonist, the gender of the protagonist doesn't matter. Mute up for a second, Charles, because I can hear myself. The protagonist itself, the gender does not matter. If it's written well, it's written well. If you figure out why Sarah Connor and Ellen Ripley and some of these other characters, what's her name from Underworld and whatnot, work well, they weren't written as necessarily females. They were written as characters. They just wrote the character. And if you write a good character, it doesn't matter what gender they are unless that actually influences, okay, they meet this other person, the supporting cast member, is there attraction or is there not? And even in today's era, that don't matter either. You can have them, they're same sex, okay, there's kind of an attraction there, we'll get to that later. You know? Or
Salt Wanted, Lucy, Alita, Ghost in the Shell, like these are all examples of even the like I said in the chat, the augmented from the Terminator Dark Fate, that augmented lady from the future, like the Mary, not the Mary Sue character, but the augmented one. Like they did that. I think they did that.
Daenerys 3000. Daenerys 1000, 3000. Somebody reminded me of that she played that Terminator in that movie, in that third Terminator. Wow.
But they have the even what's the one with Angelina Jolie and Brad Pitt where they're spies? Mr. and Mrs. Jones.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Oh my God, I love that movie. So many insiders to that.
Like they were able to do that. They were able to do that, even to the effect of even the janky ones that were Night and Day and the one with Cameron Diaz. Like they were able to do that well, right? You can do that, but then we also know that they do what they do with these with these things, and the last thing I want to see is this to end up like what was it? The new the one with Bernie Mac in it, the spies, the three spy girls, Charlie's Angels.
Oh, Charlie's Angels.
Oh,
not that last one. Not that last one.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah.
Not the last. Elizabeth Banks took a shit on that one. And this is again, like Dr. Anwar was pointing out. This is a director attacking the fan base. I just got a meme of this today. This is the director attacking the fan base, and then wondering why that fan base didn't come watch the movie.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
What are you talking about? You told them it wasn't for them, and they didn't show up. Now you want them to show up because your movie failed? Look, that was your fault for opening your mouth with that dumb stuff. Shut up.
They're so ridiculous. I'm sorry. It's just like this is I think one of the reasons why Top Gun did so well is because he thanked the fans. He said, I made this movie for you. Come watch this movie. It was nostalgic. People love it. I don't know what's wrong with these people. They don't know how to market to people anymore. Who are their marketing people? Because they're not marketing these movies well.
No, they should be shutting their mouth because, put it this way, Captain Marvel, the movie, special effects wise, is good and stuff like that. But Captain Marvel, the movie, has one problem, and one problem only. It's Brie Larson. And it ain't necessarily just her fucking acting. It's everything she said outside of the movie. Nobody liked her.
Yep.
She said so much goofy stuff about the fan base, about everybody else. Nobody wanted to see it. That's why her second movie, they got to surround her with black women women of color to keep her from that movie bombing on site. That's the whole reason why it's Marvels and not Captain Marvel. So she don't have to be the only one pushing that movie. There's somebody else to see her.
I think she really did not know of how they plan on ending up with Captain Marvel ending, because she's just so powerful. I'm like, wait till you see Rogue.
She's not. I'm waiting for her to meet Rogue so we can get a comatose Carol Danvers. Because Captain Marvel is not stronger than Thor. She is not the strongest thing in the damn universe. She's not. And I like the Captain Marvel character. This was another movie that I was looking forward to, and I left the movie theater like, what the hell did they do to the character I like? This is another female character I like from Marvel. What did they do to her?
It would have been an incredible story act. It would have been an incredible story arc for somebody. Look, it would have been an incredible story act for some normie, right? But just think about the line here. Some normie, right? Much like Green Lantern, right? Some normie, comes across crashed spacecraft, right? And some alien, gives them this understanding, these powers and this understanding, right? And then they battle, and then they lose those powers, only to have to regain a separate set of powers, right? As she does with Binary, right? In the means, like, she could have had a great arc. She could have had an excellent storytelling arc of hero fail, hero's redemption. And what they did is just.
Yeah, if you wanted to make it just fun for me, just to skip all the boring parts of her lineage, you could have just started with her waking up from a coma. You could have just started there.
I'm going to say this.
Just start with Warbird and move on.
Hey, two things real quick. I love that. I think it was a Comic-Con when they were on stage and she was talking, and you could see Jeremy Renner just kind of rolling his eyes.
They don't like her.
And then
no, they don't like her.
A lot of folks, their favorite scene of Avengers Endgame is when Thanos clocks Captain Marvel.
That's my absolute favorite scene. Yeah.
You know what? Thanos did that for the patriarchy. I'm just gonna say this. Let's circumvent this. Let's compare Captain Marvel to Wonder Woman. Gal Gadot, she did the perfect thing. Smile, did her job, and shut her mouth, and let the movie speak for itself. And I dare you to tell me
kept her personal politics to herself.
Well, to the example of what Dr. Dunbar just brought up, right? At that, right? You see, Jeremy, so Jeremy Renner is not okay. How can I put this? Jeremy Renner is not Hawkeye in real life. In real life, Jeremy Renner is Jeremy Renner. He doesn't try to portray Hawkeye in real life. Why? He's portraying Hawkeye the best way that he knows how, given the material that's available to him, to feed the consumer. It's not making him, right? He's not trying to make Hawkeye Jeremy Renner.
Right.
And that's the big difference, because Brie Larson is trying to make Captain Marvel Brie Larson.
Well, that's the same problem with She-Hulk.
Jeremy and Cheeto kept it real. Their body language and expression told the whole story.
Yeah. Especially Don Cheeto. That's why they don't show that video too much. Don Cheeto didn't like her ass at all. Don't touch me. For real. Yeah, don't touch me. He was not feeling her at all. And far as I know, Don Cheeto, one of the coolest people in Hollywood, he was not feeling her. Like, man, you done fucked up now. Like, sorry, excuse my language, but you really messed up with Don Cheeto not liking you. Like, dang.
That's what I think a lot of people need to realize, is that the big difference between the actor trying to make the character they're portraying them versus the actor trying to portray the character.
Right.
The big difference, there's a huge difference there. Whether it's writing self-insert or that type of egotism, right? That type of the overemphasis of id, that you must no, you're gonna love. Again, we see the same thing with the Woman King and Viola Davis there. It's not she's channeling this. No, she's trying to make her in her image. Right, rather than adjust her image to whatever character's available. And when you see those things, it's like, nah, you're not. Again, he didn't try to. Robert Downey Jr. didn't try to make Tony Stark into Robert Downey Jr. He tried to
kind of look like him.
Yes, no. There was some. He methoded into there pretty well. You know, But that was the thing, and that was one of the things that I liked about the Norton Hulk.
What's my inspiration? You in your 20s. I got it.
Yeah, you're alcoholic. I got it. Roll camera.
But then at the same time, they completely they ruined my guy Thor. They completely made him retarded. But
no. You know what?
Yeah, I'm sorry. That Thor movie was trash. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Thor is supposed to be the most kick-ass of the Avengers. The only Avenger I keep telling you that they did right was Captain America. I told you, Winter Soldier is their Magnum Carter. I mean, that's.
Yeah,
I think they did Tony Stark right as well. I think they
did.
Right.
They got Tony Stark right.
But
their best movie.
They destroyed Thor.
Their best movie, pound for pound, is Winter Soldier. Nothing has changed my opinion. Nothing.
I agree.
I will tell you.
I agree. Winter Soldier was the best. You're right.
So what is this movie about?
And I will tell you, it's about, it's going to be about Sam Wilson's Captain America. It might be around his first run when he was Cap. But I'm just going to say this. The Thor movies greatly disappoint me because Thor in the comics is not a comical character.
No,
he's not Booster Gold and Blue Beetle like that.
He's not intentionally comical. He's straight man comical.
He's straight man comical. Like if you actually see the scene, I wish I could get my hands on that comic when he comes back and he confronts Iron Man, who's he's big shot. His testicles are like cojones right there, and he thinks he could actually take down Thor. Oh, he was so wrong. He was wrong.
Charles, you'll agree with me on this. Thor is that character that you have to have him removed from stories just to give other people some shine, so it can be some drama going on. Because if he's there, it's over. It's a done deal.
I'm gonna put it to you this way.
He is the Megaton. He is the Moab.
Yeah, he is like Superman in DC. When your superhero needs a superhero and you call 911, that dude's showing up. Like, oh God!
The thunderclap.
Like Thor and Superman's here. Okay.
Yep.
We won. I'm tired.
Well, that's why in Thor's books he's actually rarely in Midgard. He's handling things he's either handling things in Asgard or in other realms besides Midgard. So you can't get a hold of him every time that you want to get a hold, because you're exactly right. You have Thor in there with Goliath.
Look, this is how you know. In the comic books, you had Civil War happen. Why did Civil War happen? Because Thor and the Hulk weren't there.
Exactly.
That's it. If Thor and the Hulk were there, it would have been over. It would have been no fight.
It'd have been like 20 seconds. Didn't we tell your asses to calm down? It's like when your parents
signing this or not. Hulk no sign.
Oh, matter of fact, Hulk, you see Hulk lawyer. Hulk thinks this is racist because I'm green. Hulk has PhD in nuclear physics. Hulk got dumb. Hulk just very arrogant, talked himself in third person.
I didn't like part 4 at all, but did it end with Thor will return? Is he gonna come back to stop World War Hulk? Is that where he shows up again?
So.
Him and the little girl.
He doesn't do that. He doesn't do that anyway. Sentry does that. Yeah. He doesn't do that anyway. Sentry does that.
The thing with the Thor movie is that Taika Waititi is out of the 5th movie. He's not doing a 5th movie. He's out. God. Marvel kicked him. They fired him from that. Yep, and he's also gotten fired from the Star Wars movie that he was going to get on. He got Disney done with him on that shit. No.
Good.
No, they can't hide that bullshit no longer, right? So him trying to come back for 5 with his daughter didn't exist. I'm still saying his daughter was what's her name? I'm forgetting her name now. It's a different character that they're trying to mix up with his daughter. Look, I don't care about you putting your actual daughter in the movie, but you don't get to get a sequel because of that shit. No. That movie, I didn't like Thor 4. I was really disappointed. I wasn't too cool on Ragnarok either. And look, if they don't do another Thor movie, I'm fine with that. I don't care. Don't do another one. Let me see you in Secret Wars and call it a day.
Taika has a kid? I didn't even know he had children.
No, Chris Hemsworth's daughter.
Oh, okay.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
I didn't see that one.
Yeah, that was his daughter at the end. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah, his kids was all in the movie.
He's everything I imagined Thor, an actor to look like Thor to be, except in the content of what he acts. He's built like a shit brick house. He's supposed to have this long flowing blonde hair, has the accent, but Thor is not trying to do Jean-Claude Van Damme split kicks, okay? He's
not,
like...
Speaking of which, how does Blade play into this whole roadmap? I mean, you have
all right. Hold up, Raven Knight. Okay, so after this question, I'll let you guys answer, and then I'm going to wind it down.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
All right. So,
I will say Blade is part of their whole supernatural line that they're doing, and because they have this new version of the Midnight Suns with a U, not a O, in there, they're going to start pushing towards that. The last thing I heard was that this Werewolf by Night is supposed to be really good, but what I was afraid of, they're pushing up Elisa Bloodstone in that shit, which means they're going to put her with Blade on this, Midnight Suns team. The other thing that came out today was that the director from the Blade movie walked off.
Walked away.
So it's like, oh shit, what are they doing on this now? And if the rumors I was hearing was correct, they must be trying to push some feminists in this Blade show. They might be trying to push some feminists in this Blade stuff, or have him hand off to some other chick or something like that. Because Elisa Bloodstone to me is just a knockoff Blade. She's just a female knockoff of Blade. So they put her in the Werewolf by Night thing. I'm like, oh shit, I smell it coming. There's only one way for her to go, because she does the same thing the Blade does. So maybe they force her into the movie. I don't know. But this director was down to do this Blade movie. And if he's walking away from it, spider senses is tingling full on. Like, what the hell is going on this movie?
Yes, sir. When I read that article, that's exactly my sentiment.
You're like, what is it? What is it? Do I want to know? Do I not?
So does this open up? Okay, so we know that a lot can be opened up from Ghost Rider. We know that a lot can, again, in this vein, with the supernatural side of things, because you can get Morbius in there as well. He doesn't need another movie, that's for sure. But so, I mean, you could actually, you could open up, because I'm trying to think. Constantine and Zatanna, those are DC.
Those are DC.
Go look up Ghost Rider, Werewolf by Night, Blade,
Mephisto,
Dracula,
right?
Maybe a little bit of Mephisto. You're gonna get like the horror section. I mean, just like DC has their horror section, like they have Etrigan the Demon, they have Frankenstein, they have a couple of, just like they have, like, they might even put in a little bit of the Howling Commandos, or you're going to see a World War II reference, I'm pretty sure, somewhere, because that's how old some of these monsters are, even older than that. But
they have to update them.
Yeah, they got to update them a little bit, but that's
what Blade is for, to be that center point, because he's the one notable character who actually had a movie franchise that worked. So they're going to me, they would make Blade that central character to bring in all those supernatural characters and stuff like that. That's why you're not
Ghost Rider worked too.
Saying, right, but
not
they
like
ain't
Blade.
making another.
Not like Blade.
The MCU has not made a Ghost Rider movie. They haven't.
That's true.
Those other Ghost Rider movies, that last one did dog crap.
Yeah.
And the one before that there was no MCU. That was a license that some people did, right?
Right.
But when they went there to go start doing a supernatural character, they went to Blade because they know people want to see a Blade. Ghost Rider was working on.
Does that reintroduce Spawn? Even though it's Image, but
no. Why would it? It's MCU. You can't introduce Spawn in an MCU.
No, that's a total different company, man. I mean,
totally different company, totally different problems.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm gonna just say this: it's kind of like Spawn is also kind of like. I mean, hopefully the actor they got to do it is going to be well at it, because I really would not like to follow Wesley Snipes' boots after that. Like, I got to follow this. That's like being. That's like trying to be.
They got Mahershala Ali for Blade.
Yeah.
So he's a good actor. He's a really good actor, right? If you saw Luke Cage, you saw Cottonmouth, you saw Mahershala Ali.
Yeah.
Okay, he's a good actor. The physicality, I'm concerned about. But if he's working out and doing his stuff, cool. If he's on the Marvel workout plan, he'll look like Chris Hemsworth or Chris Evans.
Yeah. The Marvel workout plan. We'll give you a little bit of performance enhancing drugs. We'll get you a little bit of a. We got
like
the real Secret Service here. Like where's Vince? Like Vince McMahon has his hand on the Marvel MCU.
Or that Marvel Mania in you.
Or what is that the Wolf kid, the Wolf kid from the Twilight movies. That kid. Taylor
Lautner.
Yeah, he does some things.
I mean,
but he's an actual martial artist, though. That's why.
Yeah, but I mean, see, the problem is what most people don't understand. If you lean out, you're going to look bigger even though you weigh less, because the muscles are just going to pop.
Yeah.
It's the definition. It's like, look at Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman's probably he's probably hated his life when he does the scenes when his shirt is off, because he probably didn't drink water for like 24 hours.
No, you saw that picture I used.
Yeah. I mean, it's gonna. I mean, think about it. For Deadpool 3, you had nowhere else to go but Wolverine. Like, at some point they had to meet, and that's gonna. And if the powers that be are handful, they had it. Even though I would love to see Deadpool with Spider-Man, that is so hilarious. But
yeah,
it's
they
like
have
the
other places to go, but Wolverine had to come.
The Wolverine had to come, and it's gonna be pretty hilarious.
Well, thanks to she did confirm that he was alive.
I need to go.
Yeah, what version of him?
Shut down.
Okay.
I hate to break this cipher up, but
always a pleasure, good Doc. Always
I can't hang like Charles. Charles goes all night. I go to bed. I wake up. Charles is still there streaming. I can't hang like that.
The secret is you take 30-minute naps in between your show.
Oh,
during your show, right?
Right. Well, but the thing is, this is like Artisan said in your interview with him, right? This is geekdom. This is the deal. Like this is the gatekeeping access to geekdom. What do you know? What don't you know? And what do you want to learn?
That's true. That's
right.
True.
You know what I mean? And if you have a position, do you have an argument? Is that argument able to be supported? And let's put it again. Yeah, of course we're arguing silliness, right? We're arguing make-believe in fiction, right? But these make-believe in fiction environments have rules, right?
Exactly.
I don't even call it arguing. I call it a discussion.
Yeah.
Because an argument means that you have firmly some position somewhere and you know more than somebody else on things. And some things some people do and some things people don't. But you can always go back and verify the shit there. It's very simple. So it's not an argument. It's just maybe you know and maybe you don't know. It's very simple.
I don't want. I'm glad I'm not in California. I'll be up there at Artisan's in front of his comic book shop. Looking like I'm on some type of narcotic. Like, man, you got some comics, man. I'll sweep your front if you got some comics.
Sweep your front and get the rats out of that hole down there. They won't let me kill them.
Thanks for having me up, Dr. Dunbar. Y'all have a good night.
It's the first time we came. Thank you, Charles.
It's always a pleasure, Doc.
Thank you. Good night, guys.
Thank you for having me,
Yeah.
bro. I subscribe, and I definitely will be here around, man. Thank you for this conversation.
Okay.
I love Geekdom.
I got to partner with Artisan some more. Artisan, you got anything to say before we log off?
Yeah. Thanks for having me up. I turned my camera off because it's too dark to see me in here. I'm in a kind of day glow. But thank you for the interview and bringing me up. I do have an interview I want to do with you. Okay. We'll have to set it up sometime so we can do it, so I can get that locked in and done. Geekdom is, like I've said before, Geekdom is a big tent. There's a lot of people under here. Trekkies, comic book nerds, toy nerds, gamers, all that kind of stuff is under that Geekdom tent for me. So I don't have a problem with anybody being passionate about this stuff. I hope they're passionate about it. And the only thing I look for in all of these geek properties, be it novels, books, TV shows, or whatever, just be accurate and just care about the material that you're putting out and the characters that you're using. If you don't bother doing it. Just don't. We don't need you in here tearing stuff up because you don't like it because everybody else does, or you feel like an outsider in it. It's fine. There's some places that I'm not welcome that I would never get into a conversation about and argue anybody about. Like you talking about your game on Saturday with Michigan? No, you're a Michigan fan. I ain't gonna sit there and argue with you about the Wolverines. I ain't doing that. That'd be stupid. That'd be dumb. So I'll let you have it, and whatever you say, yep, that's what Dr. Anwar said about Michigan. So whatever. But appreciate you for having me up. You are more than welcome on my stream anytime. You already know that because I will be talking about Andor this week and whatnot, and She-Hulk because it's coming on tonight. So if you want to hear some more, come on over. We can talk on my stream because I'll run it long.
All right. You take care, Artisan.
Peace.
All right, peace. All right, everyone. Well, I'm gonna shut this down. It is 10:32 here on the East Coast, and I'm gonna go watch the rest of this episode of House of the Dragon. That's kind of, I think Rhaenyra, she's grown. She just had a couple children. Alicent Hightower, she's grown. The father, he's lost his arm. There's all kinds of things going on House of the Dragon right now. So I'm going to shut this down and watch the rest of that. But I just want to have Artisan over. I'll probably have him back so we could indulge in this geekdom. I want to thank everyone who watched and who came over here from Artisan Space. I think BGS shared this too. I shared it on my original channel. So thank you to everyone who stopped through, who liked the stream, and who shared it. Let's see. If you're watching on the playback and you want to make a donation, my Cash App and PayPal are there. You want to leave it, whatever, $1, $5, whatever. It doesn't matter. Well, it matters, but you know what I'm trying to say. It's late. Please consider joining the Big Words LLC Newsletter. I'm a writer myself. I'm a blogger, and I'm working on my own book project. This link is below in the description box. There's a 2-paragraph greeting there. And then if you hit that subscribe button, it takes you to that form right there. You just put your email address in. I promise I won't give your information away to a third party. And if for some reason this link stops working, my email address for the newsletter is in the description box as well. You can email me and say, hey, add me, and I'll add you. All right, everyone. The Knight's Palace says, by the way, Raven Knight, hey man, I loved your avatar. It was moving. I don't, if there's a way I can do that, I might want to try that at some point. But your avatar, that might be the best avatar I've ever seen. Okay. He said, brought a whole new feeling when you heard Dracarys now. Okay. Yeah. Dracarys. All right, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your night. Once again, please like, share, and subscribe. And as always, remember that your attitude determines your altitude. Take care, and I'll talk to you the next time.